Okay, my name is Jenna Gannon. I've worked with Adventure Fit for, I believe, 4 years. Time flies when you're having fun, so. Well, so I had just finished running my first marathon, and it went pretty well, but I had a few injuries along the way. So I was talking with a friend and telling her I'd really like to get a little faster and eventually train for the Boston Marathon, but I wasn't quite sure how to do that on my own. So my friend had told me that she had heard of this guy that ran a business in his garage. I'm like, well, that sounds a little sketchy, but I'll try it out with you. So we came here and we started training together, and she dropped off, but I found that Devin and I worked really well together, and that's kind of how I got started. It's hard. It's hard finding the time to do everything, to work and raise my daughter and run also, but I found that running and working out is really important. It helps, it just helps give me something that I can do for myself. It's a really good stress reliever. So I generally make that my very first thing that I do every morning. So I found that if I get up early and get my workout in and run before anything else in the day, then that's one thing I've done for myself, and it's just the best time for me to get things done. So. I think a big part for me is just setting an example for her. So a lot of times I will drop her off at her tennis practice or her gymnastics practice, and we all get in places where we don't want to work out. So she's sitting in the car complaining like, I'm tired, I don't want to go in. And so I tell her, well, you're going to do your workout and I'm going to go do mine. And I think just having that example and seeing that, that's probably the biggest motivator for me, is just being an example for her of staying in shape and doing healthy things for our bodies and making healthy choices. So. Well, I think when I started training here, I was focused on one specific goal, and that was getting faster and running the Boston Marathon someday. So one of the things that I've really appreciated about working with you is you have encouraged me to try new things, and that's a little hard sometimes, step out of my comfort zone. But I started trail running a little bit, and that made me want to train for an ultra marathon trail run, and I had just a blast doing that. And then the triathlon, you encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone and try that, and it was a lot of fun. So I think that's been one thing that I've learned to be open to, is suggestions to try new things, but then doing them, I'm realizing that it's a lot of fun, and it's fun to have other goals sometimes besides just a strict running goal. And I guess that's kind of the answer to that question. I think probably the biggest obstacle was injuries. So when I started training with you, I had already battled a knee injury and a hip injury. And then shortly into training, that hip injury flared up again, and I actually had to sit out of one of the races that we had trained for. But I think just working through those, I don't like to be injured because that keeps me from running. So those were very discouraging, but I think that's probably been the biggest obstacle. But in working with you, I noticed that I've built up a strength base, built up just some weak muscles that were contributing to those injuries, and I've, knock on wood, haven't had an injury in several years since starting out with you. So. I'm ready to train for another marathon. I haven't done one since before COVID. Then that year it kind of shut down a lot of races. I lost a little motivation in running long distances, but I'm ready to train for another one. I have my eyes set on 2 later next year, so I think that will give me plenty of time to I've done a couple half marathons this past year, but I think this next year that'll give me plenty of time to build that base up and get back to running those long distances. So, and I plan to get there just with building up my running base again and working with Adventure Fit and going from there. So. Well, I just actually encouraged a coworker to come and talk with Adventure Fit, and my advice to him was Devin's really good at building up a good running base and building up some strength and getting you to where you need to be. So personalizing a workout program, it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's a personalized workout program to where you're at and where you need to go. So.